A man was taking photos in the desert when he discovered something terrifying. In the distance, there was a naked doll staggering around, and the doll's diaper was already full. It was also chewing on snacks that resembled fingers. The man thought he was hallucinating, so he quickly packed up and prepared to go home, but on his way back, he encountered a boy named Nick. Nick was curious how the boy ended up in this desolate area, but the boy said he had come out to play with his parents and got separated from them. Seeing the deserted desert, Nick couldn't bear to leave the boy alone. He kindly decided to drive the boy to find his parents. Unexpectedly, the boy headed straight into the depths of the desert. As they were about to lose signal, Nick hesitated, but his good intentions compelled him to continue. He followed the boy all the way to the depths of the desert. The boy finally stopped, but he only asked Nick for water. Nick tried to lead him back, but the boy resisted and angrily accused him of being a pervert. Then the boy ran towards the mountain top, leaving Nick speechless. Shortly after, the exhausted Nick saw the sky getting darker and reluctantly gave up his search. To his dismay, he got lost himself. Just when he took out his phone to seek help, he realized that there was no signal in this godforsaken place. Nick wandered aimlessly in the desert like a headless fly. When he passed a valley, he noticed a bright light shining below. He approached cautiously and found a household in this deserted valley, with a woman taking a walk. Nick was overjoyed and slowly climbed down the stairs, which seemed to be the only way up to the house. Soon, Nick reached the bottom of the valley, only to realize that he had stepped into a ghostly place. He knocked on the door with all his might, but there was no response from inside. Helpless, he pushed the door open and found the woman cooking inside. Nick explained that he was lost and asked the woman for directions or to make a phone call for him. However, the woman remained silent, only gesturing for Nick to have a meal first. Despite his continuous talking, the woman remained engrossed in her food. Nick found the strange-looking food in his bowl hard to swallow, so he gave it all to the woman and only asked for a glass of water. Nick once again asked if he could borrow a phone, but the woman said she lived alone and didn't need such a thing. Then she warmly invited Nick to stay for the night since it was already dark outside and he was exhausted. The next morning, while the woman was still asleep, Nick quietly left some money behind and planned to leave without saying a word. However, when he went outside, he saw that the bottom half of the stairs had disappeared, leaving only the upper half fixed to the cliff. Confused, Nick realized that the woman had mentioned living alone. Nick decided to ask about the situation, but the woman continued to work without paying any attention to him, unable to disturb her. Nick had no choice but to wait until she woke up. During his free time, he used his camera to document his surroundings, which were filled with creepiness and horrifying old paintings on the cliffs. After a while, the woman woke up, and Nick couldn't wait to ask about the missing stairs. But the woman only focused on her work and ignored Nick's questions. Frustrated, Nick helped her finish her tasks, and only then did the woman finally speak. She suggested that someone might have borrowed the stairs and would return them in a couple of days. Anxious to go home, Nick couldn't wait. He decided to climb up the cliff with his bare hands, but the irregular surface offered no handholds. After struggling, he had no choice but to give up. When he returned all dirty, the woman even offered to wash his clothes, but Nick refused. His mind was set on going home. Curious about his eagerness, the woman asked if he missed his wife. Nick confessed that he was still single, and when the woman realized that he had no wife, her eyes softened. In the middle of the night, when the woman was fast asleep, Nick snuck outside. His wife still hadn't returned, and he couldn't continue waiting. The next morning, he took out a sharp pickaxe and planned to climb down the cliff. However, just then, a chicken suddenly fell from above, startling Nick, causing him to lose his footing and fall. When he regained consciousness, it was already dark, and the pickaxe had accidentally pierced his thigh, causing excruciating pain. Screaming in agony, Nick attracted the attention of the woman, who pulled out the pickaxe and bandaged his wound. Over time, Nick became mentally unstable. In a daze, he even saw a boy sitting next to him. After a period of recovery, Nick's wound gradually improved. Seeing that the stairs had not been returned, Nick could no longer hold back. He confronted the woman.
You've imprisoned me in this archaic shithole. You know, I have work, people that actually depend upon me, a home, my car. My car is just sitting up there. It's probably broken or towed by now. You give a fuck. It's fucking crazy. Please just tell me what's going on.
I can look after you. I can take care of you.
He expressed his frustration, explaining that he had responsibilities in the midst of Nick's breakdown. Two boys suddenly appeared above. Nick saw them as a lifeline and begged them to pull him up or call the police. The boys were eager to help and said they would lower a rope to rescue him. Nick was overjoyed, finally able to escape this prison-like place. Not long after, a rope was thrown down, and the boys warned Nick to tie himself securely or he might fall to his death. Nick fastened himself tightly, and as the rope started to ascend, he felt relieved. But as he was being pulled up, the rope suddenly stopped, and the boys disappeared.